Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Selectmen's meeting Thursday, June 27th, 2019. If we could all stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, your folder's there. Do I have mine?
I don't know. We got this musical chairs.
Check the folder, make sure you got the right
So
one.
we're going to shift some chairs around. Joe will be here in a couple minutes.
Oh. Peter had John's folder.
I don't know if they want us to sit in their spots.
Mix it up. Okay, so first thing we've got minutes of 6:13.
Move that we accept the minutes.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, the next thing we have is the closing of the diocese property.
Brendan, would you like to introduce yourself? Brendan is with,
Hi, I'm Brendan O'Donnell from Donahue, Tucker, and Chandler.
he's here, he's looked at everything. We'll give it his thumbs up. So, and there is only one signature, unfortunately.
Why is that unfortunate?
Well,
No.
why is there only one signature line for someone buying this property?
I agree. We've, in the past, been really adamant that all five of us are on the list.
And I did actually send them the signature page, and their response back was that it
messes up the formatting. And I don't know if it was Tim I talked to or Gail, but they said in the past, when there's only been one signature line, that you've all initialed or signed in the margins. So,
What happens when you have a spouse? There's only one line?
anybody have a ruler?
It messes up the format, I'm sorry. The law requires.
So I was told that on the settlement statement, below the line, just put one line for the purchaser of the town. The rest of the select board members can sign below that line.
Right.
There's an easement there.
But it's a legal document, and we are all equal selectmen. We should all have a line to sign to purchase a piece of property.
Well, it's not there, so your option is not to sign.
Okay, the ruler.
Yes.
Okay, so this would be the area that we could add on.
Yes, so that whole is down.
It's not a document where I have to go to some of the authorities of the
But you have the ability to sign below.
just find it your last.
In your accounts payable unit list, it's a item for the payment, which I'll wire tomorrow. It's on the board. That will go to the escrow account. Matching the transaction.
Is that F5 signatures on it?
The Memphis is
Funny how the money part is 5 signatures.
So,
So you've all had a chance to review the settlement statement. It starts with the contract sales price.
We don't have to sign.
The official copy for the chairman.
How can you make legal? See, this one clearly states that chairman signed it. You've separated our authority already.
They don't have the authority to do
Well,
that.
you read the cover, enclosed, please find the documents for execution by the Board of Selectmen chair. They've already made that decision for us.
well, as chairman, I can't act alone, so I would require a request that if the rest of the board would like, I will go ahead and sign that.
I think we'll all add our signatures to the page. You can sign it where it says chair, and we'll just say, like we have in the past, we have done it in the past.
Catherine, sign right across in the middle somewhere. Maybe they'll get the hint that we need more lines.
I just, it's pretty clear in the law. Aren't you an attorney? Okay. Had to do it, sorry. Joe is here. She's looking at some things. believed it all this week.
You can go through the lines of the settlement statement pretty quickly if you want as well.
Thank you. I know what the results are. We assigned it. Well, I think we should sign it first, property choices, and we want your signature, and then we just add our around it.
Is the seller's agent here?
They were aware of their diocese and they all set.
Push your camera on. Now you turn the fans on. Let's take, your fingers no longer good enough. Let's take it, turn this on. And push the button. Or, not point to different photos. So this is getting outside. That's a good.
Good day. Sorry. The traffic between Meredith and Coney and here took an extra 45 minutes. Extra? Extra. Because there were a lot of cars and they've got 3 things on Union Avenue and 3 or 4 over on North Main Street.
I would have gone 106 to the bypass.
Yeah,
and
I
then-
should. I thought about
no,
that.
106 to 140, I think.
Yeah,
4 to 93.
yeah. I go to 93 and I thought about it. It's like, man, I know the back way. I do know the back way. Oh, is this a lawyer here?
Yes.
What are we signing?
Nice.
As nice as I can be, what are we signing?
We're buying land.
We have the purchase and sale agreement for the
Oh, no, that'll sign.
Discussion.
Lively?
Spirited discussion.
Yeah. Should have sent it back. Oh, that was time for
Oh, yes. You know, she was really cute. I wanted to take her home forever. That was the cutest little thing I've ever seen. Man.
Bacon or what?
No, not nice home. money.
A good time was had by all, including the pig.
You see the smile on the big stage?
I did. I have the movie, I'll show you. All right. Good, good. It was a lovely day for a drive. Nothing like the smell of asphalt on a hot afternoon. Not a breeze.
More fun working with it, Joe.
Oh, yeah,
You should
oh,
try it
no.
sometime.
I know better. But thanks. My dad went to high school with my old bike. He tried to get me to do asphalt. I said, no, the smell of asphalt just doesn't do it for me. Since I've done that 40 years ago, you know, but I've led an interesting life.
Tim, would you like to be the witness?
Oh, boy. My goodness. It is. This is paying, we're paying that.
That's it. Joe, you also want to sign on the second page, or?
I didn't know there was a second page,
Yeah.
you betcha. That's it, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Closing should be early, so you can report it on Monday.
Okay, excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You'll send us copies of that.
Yes.
After Joe.
The next
Police,
we have,
I wonder if, do you want to say something?
yeah, come on up. Just for FYI for the public, we officially signed the documents for the property on the police building.
Mr. Chairman, could you speak just a little louder? We've got a fan going behind us, so probably the public will have a hard time hearing as well.
So what we just did is we processed the paperwork and signed the closing documents for the diocese property that
hopefully, will be be our next police
It's
station.
intended to be our next police station, if all goes well. Kevin?
I'll start off by saying congratulations and thank you is probably more appropriate. I reached over to Tim and said, just 18 months ago, we never imagined that we would ever be able to purchase that property. Because I think it had been said before that they'll never sell it. So here we are.
First step.
Yeah, first step, and I had a little chill when the whole thing was over, but just thank you. Hopefully it does become the police station property, and whatever it may be, we own it, is the key thing. And, you know, they've been gracious enough to let us use it for this amount of time, and I think we've made good use of it. And furthermore, I think it's noble of the Archdiocese to say that it's to only be used for municipal use. I mean, we know what the value of that could be in commercial land. So that's pretty cool for us.
It's nice to be able to develop it and keep the facility there.
And as you all know, and we've said it many times, that that was important to the committee, and we sat for 2 separate nights talking about being able to leave at least a portion of that for recreational land. And it just seems like all the stars are aligned for us, that at least 1/2 of that can be used as recreational land for whatever amount of time it will be, and that we can still fit the police station on it. You know, you think of all the other projects that that I've seen in my adult life, that you know, that we were handcuffed, no pun intended at all, but, sorry about that. The fact that it was only good for one use, and you know, here we are. It just seems like the ball's in our court. The fact that they decided that they would sell it to us, and that there were some parameters from the folks on the committee that they were against taking that away recreational land. And once we figured out that we could fit both, again, here we are. So it seems like everything has been in our favor to this point. Our entire committee and folks on the street, you know, the word that we get is, and clearly at the town meeting there was that positive vibe of this is what's right for our community, and we really haven't had any negativity at all. So we know that there's a lot of work to do. We just spent the better part of an afternoon and an evening touring 2 police facilities and emergency operations centers on Monday. And we know that there's a lot of heavy lifting. There's been some heavy lifting to this point, but there's still a lot of heavy lifting to do. This committee appears to be all in, and let's get it done. So there's obviously a strategy behind that, and this are the pieces that fit into place to make sure that we can move forward successfully with the project and do what the taxpayers have asked us to do. Obviously, they want us to be frugal with their money, but in the same breath, making sure that we have the right building for the piece of property. I actually have some notes here in front of me on the difference in construction management. I know that that's probably a cloudy discussion. For over the past 3 weeks, we've all, as far as on the committee side, myself, Jeannie has talked with construction managers, we've talked to construction professionals. There's certainly plenty of opinion that's out there, and we've talked to folks. I personally have talked to a handful of folks that really have no interest in being part of the project itself, but have done projects like this, and just asking for advice on construction management. And we've also met with Mr. Goudreau, Gary Goudreau, at our last committee meeting, and trying to make it more clear for us and hopefully for you folks, so we can move forward with managing, getting bid documents out, and then some construction management. It's our committee's feeling that we need someone, construction professional, that's going to manage the bid documents with the architect and bring the project forward so we can start to get some building done. I guess I probably shouldn't get ahead of myself. At least get some documents ready to bring to the taxpayers in March. That's probably the most important thing first, before we get ahead of ourselves, to make sure that if the taxpayers do have trust in us and give us the nod, that we can move forward with the project. But we need to get those documents, and we need prices. So I guess I would look to Jeannie for making sure that we can paste together the explanation from Gary Goudreau. We asked that it was just us here tonight. They had offered to come, but we figured we'd have a discussion amongst us. And if you had any questions that we could bring back to our next meeting. But we still feel that it's important to have a construction manager that works for us. We need someone that's going to work in the best interest of the town to put the documents together. You know, when we go down through and we talk about design, bid, build, you know, there's traditional formats there, and then there's construction management. So the construction management, and please stop me if I'm saying this.
Well, I guess I would just say this, when Gary, to explain to the board if we didn't before, when Gary met with the Police Building Study Committee, we were talking about how to move forward and looking for advice and how we're going to get everything done in time, like we need to get done and have good numbers. And Gary is fully prepared, whatever is decided. There are two options that we're looking at, or the option actually with Gary was design, bid, build. And from all the folks that I've talked to, the concept of design, bid, build, and I'm sure Peter probably understands this, and maybe some of you others, it's you have an architect who's creating the design, the documents that he will create, which is what we talked about at town meeting, and then those documents will be put out to bid to everyone. And then the bids come back and we decide. That's design, bid, build. Am I? Okay, I just want to make sure you're on.
Yeah, I'm used to, I
Okay.
guess, architect, engineer, that's what went through
Well,
us.
Well, the architect does, and what he said at town meeting and what he said to us is exactly that. He will create the construction biddable documents that will go out. In the discussion that the committee, so this idea of a construction manager, I just want to be clear, was not his idea. It was something, as we were talking as a committee, and you two were there, so if I say anything wrong, you'll correct me, but it wasn't his idea, but the committee started asking questions about, well, how do we know these numbers are right? You know, what's the timeline? All those kinds of questions. And Gary said, well, you could consider construction management, construction manager at risk, which is basically somebody who comes on board, works side by side with the architect, so that when you get to the end of the process, let's say the architect draws a wall, I don't know, over in the corner, and uses, I don't know, pine. I'm not a construction person. And the construction manager might say, well, if you use this kind of material, you'll save $10,000. And so we're kind of going through we are going through the same thing in Meredith. We're building two buildings. We've got a library renovation and we've got a DPW. And the library has decided to go with construction management. So I've been involved in learning about all these different things. And an analogy was made, you might get it, you'll get it, Joe, because you're a cook, chef. So it's like, you want to make a stew. You want to make a great stew, right? And so you could just start throwing stuff in the stew and at the end taste it and hope it tastes good. Or you could make a stew, add salt, taste it, pepper, taste it, put in the potatoes. So you're tasting it all the way along so that at the end you know you're going to get what you want. And sort of that's the analogy to a construction manager at risk. And so Gary had mentioned to the committee that he knew of at least he knows many construction managers, but he would be willing to go out and ask if they would forego a fee that they would normally charge, with the idea that you would get to review the construction managers who make the bid for this project to be the construction manager. And if town meeting approves going forward with this project, that construction manager would get the job. Now, understanding he's not then he sends out the big documents and he goes through all that with all of you. So it's like Kevin said, it's not an owner's project manager, and it's not a clerk of the works, but it is somebody representing the town and watching everything, who has that construction experience.
The two folks that I had chatted with, I'll give you the specific buildings. One was the Hudson Fire Station project, and then the other is the Town of Carroll Twin Mountain Fire Station project. And I talked to two different folks, and both of them didn't know that I was having this conversation with each of them separately. And they asked the question of, if it's the police station, is the police chief preparing to be the manager of the project? And there's never been a discussion of that. It never had come up at all. So I don't think that we thought that was an option. The fire chief in the town of Hudson chose to manage the project himself, and it saved them, they turned money back because he just watched over the project the entire time and did the bid documents. The other project up in Twin Mountain, yes sir?
I expect that the police chief would have his nose in this as they were going along, just the same, right?
Yes, but
That's
not managing the project.
No, that-
Certainly visiting the site, just as probably most of us will be just curious to see how it's going to go. The other project, I spent the better part of 2 hours with this construction professional. This is what he does. He does construction and project management. He's the fire chief in Sugar Hill, and he's managing the project for the town of Carroll. And he said that you can save, with a construction manager, he estimates that you can save up to potentially $1 million, between $500,000 and $1 million, if you have an agent construction manager or a project manager that works for the town. And just as Jeannie had said, and this is the example he gave me, is when you're doing windows, if you can spin a brick sideways instead of cutting the brick and having waste, the construction manager would watch over the project in that manner. But would also at the beginning help with the bid documents. That was the research that we had done, and I felt like after all of those conversations and piecing that together with what Gary was explaining, it's what made sense to us as a committee, and that's why we chose to still move forward with the request to put it out to bid for a construction manager. Now, as Jeannie said, that was not what was in Gary's plan at all originally. He was thinking, design, bid, build, and for whatever reason. And the question keeps coming up: who's going to work in the best interest of the town, of our money?
And certainly Gary is. That's not to say Gary is not, but he is not going to be the construction.
You'd be here 24/7.
Right. And there are two other things that I learned in terms of the pros of construction manager at risk. Very transparent. You get to see everything. Where my understanding from design, bid, build, you don't necessarily get to see all that. The second thing is there are typically savings that will accrue. And those savings, any savings that they are able to make, goes back to the town. It doesn't go to the construction manager, it goes back to the town.
I think we should include in there the fact of guaranteed maximum pricing with the construction manager. So the construction manager is going to look at the electrical, and they're going to see each of those individually, and that the transparency comes that we're going to see that. Now on a design, bid, build, this is what we're going to bid, and we won't know where the savings is. So when we had explained this to the committee, we feel even more confident now that the construction manager is the way for us to move forward. Now we do realize that we're not the ones that sign the documents, that we're an appointed committee by you folks, and if there's other direction, then we need it soon because we're working on a timeline that we're pretty confident that we've got a little bit of time, but if we're going to make we've made a lot of forward progress to this point, no different than you signing the document tonight, and we made the taxpayers a promise that we would move forward with this, and with that is some decision making. So I guess that's why I'm here tonight. If there's guidance to be given, we're all ears.
When is your committee going to discuss this again?
The second
With Gary Figueroa?
July,
Yeah, July 2nd.
next Tuesday.
Which was not a regularly scheduled meeting night. It's 4th of July week, but we felt that it was important to throw that meeting in there. We weren't willing to meet another week after that, so.
5 o'clock. Up here. So really, that's the question to the board. I think from the committee is, do you want to continue down the design bid build, or I guess consider the request from the committee about construction manager at risk?
So in my world, my construction world, back ways and a lot. Design bid build is what we're doing, whether we have a construction manager or not, we're going to design it, bid it, and build it. What we're not going to do as we did with Riverfront Park, which is send it out for each trade to design the electrical, the plumbing, and et cetera, as builds.
Well, I think the key,
So those are the two options. You can design it, send that to construction, print out the design, print out, and have it built. It seems to me what we're doing is hiring somebody else to watch the company that we hired to do this work for us. And now we have to hire a watchdog.
Because they don't do it. That's not in their expertise, I believe.
But from the different information that I've gathered from this, that's what I'm getting.
Was-
So I'm gonna
can I
attend
ask
the
it?
meeting Tuesday night.
can I ask a couple of questions? Was there an expectation of the architect was gonna manage construction? Because I have,
So that's, for me, in my world, that's two different things.
right,
We haven't gotten to the point of construction, and I always expect that when we're at the point when we're ready to build, and usually before, once you've gotten your bids in, you want to hire a construction manager, somebody to oversee that project, to make sure the person who designed it for you designed it correctly, and to make sure that all the trades are building according to today's specifications and the design specifications. But what we're talking about is something different. That's way before, I mean, we're talking about hiring somebody before we even had it bid. So, in projects that the town has done, and that I've been involved in as a contractor, usually the firm you hire to design your project does that for you.
But I just want, can I say something? So what I heard you say was, correct me if I heard it wrong, but you had the architect design it, and then later you have the construction manager tell you what the architect did wrong. Didn't I?
Well,
just-
you can go
so-
along, I mean, I'm not gonna tell construction stories, like thousands of them. But invariably in any large construction project, and this is gonna be a pretty good sized construction project, mistakes can be made for humans. And a construction manager can pick up, oh, well, this should be, whatever concrete instead of this concrete, and you need steel in your footings, you need steel in your footings, or, this measurement is off. You can't make round walls with.
Right, they're doing that as we go along.
right, and if I understand it right, I completely understand your concerns. But what I'm hearing from the research that we've done is that that's what the construction manager will do ahead of time. So instead of finding out when the truck shows up, that they would
understand that.
clean it, they'll clean it up with, so Gary's our engineer and our designer.
Well, he's our architect.
He's our,
He's an engineer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
you're exactly right. So he's our architect. So he's gonna bring the architectural plans, stamped plans to a construction manager together. They're gonna go out and get electrical pricing, they're gonna get HVAC pricing, and they're gonna come back and the construction manager's gonna say, hey, you designed this way. What about if we move that wall that you put here? That really needs to come over here. And then at the same time, when he talks about moving all those things in practical sense, there's practical sense and then there's engineering sense. This is kind of the way
I know what you're saying, yes, and there is, when you're actually there doing the work.
So this will be done ahead of time instead of the day that the trusses are being unloaded or the day that the concrete truck is there.
And that's my point. We're hiring somebody to oversee the somebody we hired to design this project correctly.
But with every project,
And I have the feeling that instead of hiring the whole pie, we're only getting part of the pie because we didn't hire a firm that has all the other entities in it, which we have in the past.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the projects that I've seen in the last couple of years, and even the two guys that I've talked to. I'm thinking of other local projects. The way they've done it is they hired, the designer, and then they put it out to bid, and they had Bonnet Page and Stone as the construction manager. And the example that's our tax money is the fire station project. That's what they hired a designer to design the building, and then the documents were put out to bid for a construction manager. And BPS.
See, when we built Riverfront Park, we hired a firm who did everything. And we ended up having a construction manager with a construction manager.
We could,
So, I mean, and like I said, I'm going to read the contract and I'm going to attend the meeting Tuesday night.
That would be awesome. That would be perfect. And so we just need the direction of what you would like us to do, and we can move forward with those suggestions. If it's to go out with a design bid build, and that's what you want from us.
yeah, I'd like to get some input from all this stuff. I think Pat, for Joe, raising your hand. Pat?
I think with any architectural,
Business.
I think with any architectural firm, it doesn't matter who you get, you will always end up with a large project with change orders. And with a construction manager, what they're going to do is foresee those change orders ahead of time before they become after the fact, oh crap, we got a change order and this is what's going to happen. And that, I think, is what's going to be the difference to us. And I think that's going to be important. Every single architectural firm, I have a nephew that's a construction manager on a very large architectural firm in Worcester. They go through change orders like crazy, no matter what building they're building.
So he was a construction manager in an architectural firm, okay? I guess I come from the wrong side of construction because I'm used to the engineer, architect designs, puts it out to bid, oversees the construction with a clerk of the works, construction manager, whatever you want to call them, superintendent. I would like to see some ballpark estimates on the different methods. If we go construction management, what are we looking at potential cost? Because I think we had costs with Gary, now we're seeing unforeseen costs. So I'd like to see.
I'll share with you, I do have an offer from this other construction manager, project manager. He'll work under any title that you want him to. He's the fire chief in Sugar Hill. He actually has 4 properties in Northfield. He has a vested interest in this area, lives in Sugar Hill. His business is in Manchester. He has offered to come and explain further the different methods if you would like. And he understands exactly. He had the conversation with me about, yeah, you can go design, bid, build, and you can work under change orders, but you will pay more. He said,
You're going to have change orders either way. As Pat said, that you're going to have things come up in construction that's going to change it. That you have the best plans and unknowns crop up.
no doubt, he feels that there will be less change orders if you're hand in hand with the architect and the construction manager watching it from day one and following it through. He said typically with design, bid, build, if you get an electrical contractor that just throws an electrical price at it and there's no discussion of back and forth with the construction manager or a project manager if that's what you choose.
I guess our difference is I'm used to the architect engineering where they had it and I didn't realize that this was architect only and now we've got something different. That's all. I was assuming it was like any of the other firm's retired, he can do everything soup to nuts. That was all.
So now that we know that we have an architect on board,
That's why we're gonna see some
Can we
budgets.
get some input from Joe?
Patient Joe.
I'm a patient guy. So I hear what Catherine's saying about having a construction manager for the actual construction. I kind of like the idea though of having that construction manager with the architect during the bid process. I really do. I'm not sure what the construction manager would cost. It would make a difference to me, you know, definitely.
I think the thing, Gary's suggestion to us is put that out to bid. He has bid documents and they're ready to go to put it out for a construction manager to bid on it. And then you choose, or a
Which one?
committee
which one?
of chosen for a,
Which one to do?
yeah. So you would have the final say on that, or if you choose to
And the-
appoint a committee for review.
Right, and the point is that you get this guy now because he puts off his fee to when you would hire him as the construction manager later on. But he's working
That's
with,
the town meeting.
right, he's working with you up front versus, and you're getting, and you're not, you'll pay for it once you know.
We've done that with auctioneers.
Right.
What did you say, Joe?
We've done that with auctioneers in the past.
Yes.
I'm very good, we're here. One of the things, that if you were building your own home, let's say, which involves all of many of the same services and trades, and you were doing it yourself, you're looking over it, you'd be there with the architect, you'd look at the plans and you'd say, no, I want to change this like this, no, I don't quite like it like that, I want to use different materials here. And the architect, as he was drawing it up and designing it, would make those changes on the spot. And then later in the building, you would go over to your house while they're building it and check on, you know, hey, these guys didn't hang this sheetrock quite right, or in the wrong order, or the wrong screws, or, you know, and be picky with it. And I think the construction manager being on board, just like a homeowner when you're designing a home or an addition, would be beneficial in that part, because he'd be looking out for us in the beginning to get it right and get it going, and also to be able to get some plans to the town meeting that are very accurate for what we want, without us not being laymen in all of these trades. We wouldn't be able to accomplish that. And that's why I think it's important to have a construction manager early.
Something just clicked when you said that. My first house was a spec house. So when I negotiated the price on the spec house, my contractor said, hey, I'm gonna build you a house and that's what it's gonna cost. I never saw what the cost of the electrical contractor was. I never saw what the cost of the plumbing contractor was gonna be, because he went out and got the bid and then he just left it at that. If I'm connecting the dots correctly, if we were to have a construction manager at the beginning that helps, you know, work through the design part, goes out and gets the bid documents, gets the right, has 4 electricians lined up and says, all right, I like what you've done for a bid and what your quote is. We're gonna use you as the electrical contractor. And I like what you've done for concrete, so I'm gonna pull you in. So we're gonna see what the cost of that is, and it wouldn't be, am I saying this right?
Yeah,
Like
you
a-
should be able to see that with or without a construction manager. Because that's what we do for the park.
On design bid build, it's not.
Yes, no, design bid build just means you have a blueprint with specifications before you go out. You're not asking trades to design it for you. You've got an engineer, in this case an architect, that's already designed it. You can say, I want an electrician's bid, I want a bid architect. You have that option. I'm with Peter. I'm more used to having a company, a construction company that has all the pieces to it. Like I said before, I think we're going to very clarify.
And from talking with.
We may need to have a
Yeah.
construction manager because we did that.
And from talking with builders in the private sector, and the folks that I've had conversations with, design, bid, build used to be the way everybody did it. Now people are moving to construction manager at risk.
When Gary explained that, the other factor that came in was the construction market right now. You've all worked especially
That's
Catherine,
what
you know, yeah, you know this better than anyone, that the way the market is right now, it's gonna be tough for us to get contractors to give us pricing. So,
You get pricing, you might not get.
what you
You
want.
might not get dates that they
Right.
can be on the job that you want.
Or the prices that you want.
2021.
So one of the things that Gary had suggested with that was the fact that the construction manager will have that relationship with the contractors when they come to give us pricing. And
The guy represents us.
I would agree. We could sit here the rest of the night if you wish. If you want to give us direction on what you would like, I would offer a construction consultant to try to clarify some of the things maybe that I've said tonight. Engineer, I know we're on the same page as far as that philosophy
Well,
goes.
I think that
Peter
the-
has one question.
Comment. I just have a big concern if we need a construction manager to ensure our architectural plans are correct in the first place. If they can't design it correct, then
I don't think it's a matter of designing it correctly. My understanding, it's a matter of when he designs it, having somebody there who has a knowledge of construction materials and moving walls, that sort of thing, using different kinds of materials. At the end of the day,
that
you
should
all
be
know,
his firm.
at the end of the day, it's up to you. We're just, as a committee, bringing this forward to you because this seems like the right way to go. Design, bid, build, Gary's perfectly happy to go that way, but it sounds like this other way is going to save the town money.
Who's going to be at the meeting to discuss this?
It should be all of our committee, and then Gary has a representative, I think, that's going to be there, one of his other partners.
To talk about this?
Yeah, to just have a general discussion, because, you know, we feel, the committee, we're kind of sitting idle right now. You know, the land is there, we've gone and done the reviews, we want to dig into the plans, and we have some decisions to make, but we really can't make any decisions yet. We're kind of sitting in the bullpen right now.
So do you have anything definitive of, these are Gary and his firm's tasks, and these are the other tasks that we've got to fulfill out what to do?
We do.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
Yeah, we do.
So,
Is there any budget costs with the other items that they're not handling or not?
They defer.
Yeah, if you remember at town meeting, they reduced the cost of the architect because they took out the pre-construction? He removed something which reduced the price.
The architectural and the engineering. The A&E was moved to be deferred out to the project.
To the project, once went in March meeting, 2020.
We want it to be as transparent as possible, obviously.
Right.
And you obviously, all of you have expertise in one way or another. We just need
That's
direction.
where the confusion
so
is.
when do we need to come to a
Soon.
decision on this? What is?
Well, so you're not going to have, I assume you're not going to meet on the 4th of July. That will then put it out another 2 weeks. The sooner you make the decision, the sooner the committee moves forward.
And he has to have all the information by August so that he can do his job, so that he can start working on us, so that we can get our information from him by the end of middle
Right.
of November, so that we can get all of our stuff for warrant articles for January 1st.
Because
We have
the-
a decision for him week after next. What's the point?
It's not, I would not say it's plenty of time because what's going to happen is if you decide to go with construction management at risk, he has an RFQ that we would develop and send out to construction managers who then would submit a proposal, and that would come back and you would make a decision on, of those construction managers, which one do you want?
To interview them,
Right.
hire them.
So
do that
that's a process.
As long as we know that part is, however it's going to move forward, then our committee can move forward with, what we need to do for work. Is the key thing. If there's something that you'd like me to do as the chair of the committee in the meantime, If it's to have a consultant that will work at no fee to have the same discussion that we're having now, by all means, I can arrange that, or if you want to decide on your own.
I like that. I don't think that's going to change. Maybe if it's $250,000, maybe I think it over, but
Yeah, I don't,
Can't imagine.
I don't think in the total estimate that I had been hearing was right around, was it 10?
Isn't that what you heard?
He said 15,000, and they were willing to waive that until
Right.
the passage of town meeting.
And that's to get us the documents, to get us to move forward for construction. No. That's to get, that's to get us shovel ready.
we're talking at $50,000-$60,000 for this guy. 70,000, depending on how long.
No, not, in the end, I don't know if we,
Depends how long your project is.
yeah.
Figure an hourly rate times 3,
I
so.
get that, but a
$100 an hour
ballpark figure,
probably.
what does it cost
Well,
for these projects?
Yeah, I know with the library renovation, the construction manager at risk that they have hired, I want to say and that's for the whole project, he's not deferring anything, they're paying for it up front. I want to say it's like $70,000, $80,000.
The other thing you
what I
can do
thought.
is you could add an early completion bonus in there for the construction manager. You've probably seen that before. Certainly quality and early completion.
The manager, not the contractor. Normally it goes to the contractor. Yeah, well, they do.
Well, that would be the
penalties, too.
GC. I think you're talking about the same thing. You're talking about the GC, right? The contractor. So if you
Yeah.
hired, me as mine.
Not the overseer, the people do, the workers get the bonus, or they get the penalty if they run late.
Certainly, however they were to work it out. The protection on our side is to make sure that the language for guaranteed maximum pricing is in there, because that obviously protects us also.
So you're saying about $10,000-$15,000 to be on board until it becomes.
Get it
We can confirm that.
That doesn't, you don't pay that up front. That gets deferred.
It gets deferred.
That's what
Yeah,
the cost.
That only
It's
gets
still
paid.
paid.
And Gary
Right,
said it was
assuming
about
right.
15,000 to shovel ready to
Assuming that
town meeting.
Town meeting votes go forward.
And
So
if
they
town
take a
meeting doesn't
chance.
vote, they don't get paid.
That's a
Right,
heck of a
exactly.
And there's
Well, they're
four,
taking a huge chance.
and he spoke with 4 people, and 4 people were on board with that. So there are other people, when he sends out bids, that will also be on board.
And that gets us all of our bids and everything.
That's correct.
So
You
why
know-
can't we put it out now anticipated, because it's contingent upon town meeting approval anyways?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What?
I'm not following.
Go ahead.
If we hire the construction manager,
Yep.
the upfront cost is going to be contingent on approval
Yes.
at town meeting,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So then, why don't we put the ad out now, because it's just say anticipated, you're cutting time, when we meet again, you'll have information, we'll have submitted stuff.
Oh, are you telling
I'm
us to
saying,
submit the RFQ out
line up
now?
some,
Well, we'd have to.
On speculation?
Get the RFP,
Yeah.
RFQ.
yeah, well, get those sent out with anticipated, and what you can do is your disclaimer, it needs to be approved at March 2020 town meeting.
That's part
No.
of Gary's document in the contract of the, he puts in that contract, in the language, in that, when he puts out the bid document, that upon approval, fee, something or other, the language, he showed it to us, that
For construction or for the manager?
for the bid documents.
Yeah, well, I think Peter's talking about the manager. The construction manager, right, Peter? Am I wrong?
This
Yeah,
is the
no,
construction
I
manager.
think Kevin has some information.
Peter, I think to answer, or to clarify, is they're gonna start working as soon as you award to a construction manager.
Right.
So if you award to we put it out for RFP, RFQ, say next week, and it's gonna be open for 2 weeks. Once you decide who that's gonna be, they're gonna start working with our architect now.
I just thought you were being held up by
Nope.
not knowing an answer from us, and I'm just trying to speed it.
We are.
We are, so if you say,
Just saying, set up for the press
The
qualification.
RFQs, yeah.
We're making a decision.
yeah, you would be, yes, thank you.
You know, while we're, 2 weeks
Oh,
from
I
now,
see what
yeah,
you're saying.
you
Okay,
know,
so
you
go
can
ahead
send
and send me
the
that.
The request for qualification. You send us out without us making a decision.
Well, then you can see them, you can see what the cost is.
That's right, that's what Peter was
Same
saying.
qualifications.
Send them out.
And that wouldn't slow
It
anything
wouldn't
down.
slow anything down, send them out.
How's that? Everybody good with that?
Well, you'll be there Tuesday night, and we can bring that up to the committee.
You might have to try. Night.
As long as you fit on the back of my scooter, you'll be fine.
There you go.
Whoa. Tell you about that.
I'll bring you along.
Leery about that.
What's that?
So far, good? Okay.
I'm just thinking of the legality of that, though.
I think we have to clarify
I don't think that that would be I don't think that that would be an issue. It's just a bid, and then if you decide not to award a bid, it's just you're not gonna award a bid.
That's right.
Okay.
Can you have a line in there that says that the Tilton Board of Selectmen reserves the right to rescind?
Sure.
Refuse all of it.
So, just so that, we're going to be putting this out about 2 weeks, what specific information are we looking for before we decide on this? Other than just wait the 2 weeks? I want to make sure that we're,
And the request for qualifications just
this is
means what
very-
have you done, what
If
qualifies you.
I understand correctly, what we will do between now and the next time that you meet as a select board is we will prepare that RFQ for you to look at, assuming you're gonna approve it that night, it goes out the next morning.
so we couldn't send that out
If we-
after they
Yeah.
get it together and then do it, so that we aren't wasting that 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So have Gary prepare the
If we're-
RFQ and bring
Go
it
ahead and do
Tuesday
it.
night.
Oh,
We're
I-
agreeing to send out the RFQ.
Yeah,
You're gonna send us a draft, we're
Yeah.
gonna look at it, say, yep.
Gary has a draft
Yeah.
already.
We have a draft now.
Send it out, don't win 2 weeks, and then add the line, the board of selectmen
okay.
approved.
So what I hear you saying is you're giving, well, I guess you'll vote on it, you're giving us the authority to send the RFQ out to get those bids in now.
Yes.
Would it be appropriate for me to ask you before I leave to take a vote on that? Just,
Yes,
I
we
hear
will.
everyone saying, yeah, we're good.
I think we're trying to decide what we're going to specifically be voting on here, and that is to go ahead and send the RFQs out with that provision written in it, and then that gives you free range to start moving.
So it would be Gary's representative, because Gary's away on vacation, and so Tuesday night, he can bring the
Right.
formal,
Yes.
get it together. with the
Clarify
formal-
what the 2 revisions would be?
There's one, I guess, addition of language
Disclaimer.
which would say that the selectmen retain the right to refuse any and all bids. Something to that effect. I'm sure there's standard language.
That's already in there. The March 2020 is already in the draft, we already started the draft.
Yeah, you guys know it's already.
Right.
Do we have a PDF of the Gary's contract?
I did send that to you, but I can certainly
I'll
send
check
it
out.
out
If
again.
I can't find it, I'll email it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
I make
did
a
and Captain
motion.
seconded it.
You make a motion?
You
That-
said it and
that is the
Captain
motion.
seconded it.
Okay.
And I seconded it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate the collective working together as well. It still has a good vibe.
You are free to go.
You threw us way
You
off
too.
schedule though, Kevin.
Yeah, way off
Threw us
schedule.
way off schedule.
We're like 45 minutes behind.
Thanks.
Oh, well.
Why would I say sorry?
No, this was good.
I was gonna say sorry when I get you so.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're very welcome, thank you.
Okay, so we've got the chief for
Safety issues.
the Echelon and Dumpling Drive safety issues. Come on up, join us.
So if you remember, you had Bob Hoy and some of the folks from Ashlot Drive and Dublin Drive come in a couple weeks ago and talk to you about concerns, safety concerns they had. They wanted a stop sign, they wanted a reduction in the speed limit, and they wanted speed bumps. And did talk to the chief about what the RSA for what was allowed relative to speed. And at least my recollection from our conversation, Chief, is that you're recommending a reduction down to 15 miles an hour and the stop sign that they asked for. But I think where the probably bump comes is with the speed bumps, right? That they might be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I believe they said they'd be willing to try the other things first and see how that works.
Why would the speed bumps be challenged?
Well, only that I think you pull them up in the winter and
Oh, the actual
Put 'em
work.
back down. Yeah. Constant
Maybe
fix.
so.
Well, they're ineffective in the winter, and they
The
speed in the winter
itself
too.
creates a drop in speed,
Theoretically.
theoretically.
But they said last week it really doesn't over there.
Snowbanks keep you on the road.
Yeah. So, Chief, did you put the stop sign in?
So, just to recap, so I did talk with some residents over there. The consensus from the ones I talked to said they felt like 15 would be fine. Talking with my command staff, they also agreed that 15 would work. We had the trailer over there for a week and we pulled the data on it, and the average speed was 15.
Was what?
Was 15.
15? Oh,
Yeah.
they said 50.
No,
That's the average.
that's another road that I'll talk about later.
That's the average, but what was the high point?
So we didn't have anyone over 30. So there's a couple of 25s there, but the average is about 15. And we surveyed a little over 600 cars in a week. So the busiest days were Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I think by looking at the data from the speed trailer and talking to residents and my command staff, that collectively we all feel 15 would be appropriate for that neighborhood.
Excuse me, Chief, where did you put the trailer?
It was on Ashland.
Right on Ashland, so that could have been the deterrent as well, seeing a trailer.
It can be, you know, it certainly, it makes us all hit the brakes when that lights up.
Yeah.
Some.
Trying to see how fast I can make it go. Yeah.
Remember Melbourne sign?
73. 70.
Under 132? See if you can clear it.
Yep.
Yeah, usually, like, especially during bike week, you can set them so they'll black out at a certain speed, just so to deter that. But we didn't have that problem on asphalt.
Okay, 15 miles per hour. What other things do you recommend? Or is that it?
Stop sign.
Yeah.
Is that it, Bob?
I think, yeah, they had recommended a stop sign.
Trying to figure out why they need it at the bottom end, but okay.
They asked for
If
two
you-
stop signs.
You know, the only other thing you can do sometimes is, I know he has grandchildren out there, is, you know, children at play signs, something like that. I don't know, Kip, do we have anything? I mean, we could certainly order a couple of those.
Children
It just
at play?
yeah. I mean, it makes you
Park on
think
the
when
road,
you see
that'll
them.
slow them down.
Yeah, but I don't,
They can park on the road there, right?
yeah.
Parking signs.
They do.
If you
They
park
do,
on the road,
yeah.
that slows you down.
I mean, I think talking to residents over there too, a couple different ones, they didn't feel a need for speed bumps. They felt like doing this would be plenty.
Yeah, they thought that they could get away with, if we did these here, that they could waive off and see what if it deterred it enough, and that they would be willing to be, they were grateful to have these. That's what they said last week.
So do we want to go ahead with those?
Now, let's talk about the stop sign. Where do you want to put that stop sign specifically?
Well, I'd like to go out with Kevin and take a look at that and see what's the best
So
spot.
one stop sign would be sufficient, right?
Yeah.
Okay. By the intersection.
I would guess.
Well, it comes into where it comes
Where the
in,
two
one of
merge.
them's gonna have to,
Stop.
can you put a yield on the other? Doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
Dublin and
Dublin.
Ashland come in together? When you put a stop on one and then,
Wouldn't you say it's the traffic coming off Dublin that would stop? Or
right,
yield?
Well, Ashwat comes in, and that's the one that stays close to the lake, right?
right.
Is the branch off, that's not Dublin, is that Canaan Way and then Dublin's parallel?
I'm not sure what the name of that road is.
No,
It
but you
is
know what I
something-
mean. Yeah, it's something
it's
different.
100 yards long, maybe.
Canaan Way may be the dirt road at the,
But the,
but there's a,
the main and busier road is
yeah,
actually.
where that other road meets.
They need the stop sign there.
Ashland comes in, so the way there.
Yeah.
So I put the stop on Ashland and then put the,
There's a road that comes up.
you might need a yield.
Just exit this way.
Canaan
It's our
Way,
pump
yeah.
station.
Yeah, so,
I want to say it's on Dublin.
Canaan's the offshoot, so
Yeah.
I guess I'm Dublin.
Start, I don't know. Yeah, Canaan's the one that goes up to that. Two houses.
I mean, you usually typically would take the road less traveled, the smaller of the two roads, and they would be the ones required to yield or stop.
Yeah.
So I can take a ride out there with Kevin and find out what's the best spot to put it.
So you want it down to 15?
Yeah, it would be where Dublin comes into Ashalot.
So I'll make a motion to approve the chief's suggestion to decrease the speed limit on Ashland and Dublin to 15 miles per hour and put a stop sign where the chief suggests.
Second.
How many signs?
Say stop
Total.
signs.
Stop signs as needed.
Can you just repeat for me where those stop
So we
signs
have
are
a
going?
motion and a second.
As,
In
What-
discussion.
Jeannie, what was your question?
I just wanted to know exactly where the stop signs were going.
He's going to go out and look with Kevin,
Okay.
so that's why I said as his suggestion. That's why the motion was as he suggests.
Just out of curiosity, what does this cost us in signs? How much are these signs? Just curious. Yeah, but we bought those signs, so there was a cost. I see. And the 15-mile-an-hour signs? Same thing, you don't know what they cost? No? Just curious, so $100. $100. Just curious.
I have a question. Is that going to include a stop line with the stop sign? So they basically painted stop line too.
Good.
Any more questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thanks.
While the chief and Kevin are here, I have a question maybe I could get answered. The pedestrian crossing signs, who purchases those and who orders those? What's,
No, so, I've bought in a couple and Highway has bought some as well. I know, at one point, we found some sign money in Dennis's, one of his lines, and we took some sign money out of that. And then I've taken some out of miscellaneous in my budget as well, so,
Are these the ones that go in the middle of the road?
yeah, I wanna get some.
Did we get some from a grant one time? It was a 50/50 grant?
No, not those.
How much are they?
I was gonna check into it. It could be 200 to 300, for each one.
Did you say 300 or 800?
No, $200 to $300. I think is what we paid last time. 250 or 300. Those are the ones that sit in the middle of the crosswalk
If
with
you
the.
hit it, it goes over and it
Yeah.
goes back up again?
they've made a lot of improvements
Is
on
this
them.
about Dublin Drive?
No, we're
No,
downtown.
I-
I thought I missed something.
No, I just, since they were both still here, I was curious about that.
Yeah, I think Kevin and I both agree we want to get some downtown now that we've painted the crosswalks.
Are those that we had pretty well destroyed?
Yeah, yeah.
I know when they were on
We're
the
missing a
road,
couple and
destroyed.
they,
And then grow legs and walk away.
yeah.
So can we split, we need 3, right?
If you do the islands for,
Oh, 4, yeah, the island. So can we split from each budget? 2 and 2 from the budget? You have enough for that?
I do too.
Okay. Done?
Sounds good.
It's all the selectmen's budget.
So take it from there, take it from there. Okay,
Your budget is the next.
it's all,
Yes.
but Kevin's is really tight this year. Remember, he came to us and said,
Yeah,
it's
so we
squeaky.
said that if necessary, we would find something to put in it, as long as it wasn't spending so.
It's not
Kevin
getting quick.
squeaks.
We're not supposed to tell.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right.
Crosswalks look great.
You're gonna be here in the, for the non-public? Okay. Woo-hoo, look at this. Oh, DPW.
Got one
Moving right along, we're at the 5:45 mark.
You might as well stay here. Kevin's pretty brief.
Hi there.
I,
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great.
Almost made it through these 2 weeks. It's been busy.
I'm sure.
But all the guys are doing really well. I can't say enough about the crew that I have right now. They're doing so well with just getting the work done. They're working well together. They're showing some foresight into what needs to get done. A lot of stuff I don't even have to ask them to do. They're already just on it, getting stuff done. Last week, I believe the 150th street fair went off without a hitch. The guys with the barricades, everything worked very well, very smooth. So that was a nice hurdle to get through this past week. We're in preparation for our home day and the ceremony on Sunday. The guys have been working in the park, dressing that up, making that look nice, finishing up some painting, things of that nature, while continuing to do the mowing and other duties around town. Today we actually had our first T-squared class at the shop, and it went very well.
how many people?
There was only 8 people, but I was prepared for 30 people. But in the fall, when I have the chainsaw class, there'll be more attending that one. So it feels good to have a place that we can host these classes, because it shows other communities or other highway departments that we're pushing forward, and we're making some changes here in town. And also it helps get the education for our guys, and it's not really costing us anything. Like today, all the people that we had at the class today was free, only because we hosted the class. So I'm hoping next year I can actually sign us up for a couple more throughout the year and continue that trend. So yeah, all the equipment is in good shape. We haven't had any major breakdowns. I actually was able to avoid a major repair on one of the police cruisers this past week, because I reached out to Ford and I did some research with them for the spark plug repair on 6B. And they actually have a nice little kit that they use at the dealership for doing such a job. It was a little pricey, but I can do up to 6 vehicles with it. But I was able to save 18 hours of labor. It only took 45 minutes. So it was a nice, and it's a nice solid repair. I conferred with Officer Morrison, and we were in agreement that it was a solid repair and it'll last the life of the vehicle. So yeah, that was some good stuff. this week, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the fire department reached out to me. They had a fire engine that broke down in the parking lot of McDonald's. And the deputy at McDonald's parking lot?
McDonald's, okay.
Yeah.
Hard to hear you.
It had,
You talk a little louder, Kenny.
well, louder, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
The fans are.
They said the serpentine belt broke. And I said, well, there's usually a cause for that. So I asked them to tow it back to the shop. And further inspection, I found that the AC compressor had seized up. But it's a very quick repair, and it'll be, you know, it'll get the truck back on the road faster if I do it here in town instead of shipping it up to Tamworth. And it would be obviously less costly for the fire department. They did ask me to keep track of my time and labor, which they will reimburse us for that. I know that it had been talked about in the past. That wasn't the case. It wasn't a full-on venture for me this time. It was just the fire department was in trouble, and I wanted to help them out. And I had the room in the shop and some extra time to check it out. It wasn't a major overhaul, so that's why I agreed to do it. Just one entity helping the other, just trying to get things done. And today they were actually
I hoped it was something like that. That was on my list, to find out why the fire truck
was in there.
being towed into the public
Highway
works.
department.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all good. I mean, we're pushing forward.
Like you say, less money.
Yeah,
Pay
ultimately,
2/3 of that bill.
yeah.
Okay. I just, I'm helping them out. They helped us.
I would like to say that the crosswalks look peachy,
Oh, yeah.
the downtown
A
crosswalks.
lot of
And
compliments.
I understand that
Lot
there's
of
going to be
compliments.
balloons as part of that
Working
project.
on that.
Working
I
on
was
it, yeah.
wondering if that was going to be completed for the parade on Saturday.
Out on Saturday.
Okay, just curious, that would have been
Running
very
out.
festive.
We had 36-hour days maybe.
No, I get that, but these guys seem to be supermen down there. Now, have you holes in your schedule?
Holes in my schedule.
That's correct. There was talk about part-time employees and a full-time employee, and we've gone around and
Yep.
what have you. And I was just wondering how you were getting all this work done.
Like I said, everybody's working well together. They're putting a lot of foresight into what they need to get done.
So they're being
group-
productive.
Our group is very productive, and it's almost like I don't have a job because they
That's
manage
not the right
themselves.
thing to say in this venue.
So I come into work and I have a list ready for the guys to do, and they do it. They get it done efficiently, and then we're collaborating around noontime, 1 o'clock. What else needs to get done?
Well, and I think part of that is you're meeting with them on a regular basis and having those conversations about
I have
how to
a-
get things done.
I have an ongoing list that gets checked off and added to. When I finish a list, I put it away and we start a new list. And my foreman and I, we make rounds throughout town, constantly adding to this list of what needs to get done. It's just, I can't say enough, our team is working so well together.
And who's doing the parks?
Who's doing the parks?
Or do you
It's a
just split that
collaboration of
up?
everybody. It's-
Yeah, everybody's doing the parks?
Yeah,
Parks are looking good. The ones I've been to are looking good.
yeah. We're going to do a walkthrough soon to make sure that we're doing everything right, and what we need to add to our weekly routine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have some time here in the next couple of weeks to address the urethane in the wood, dressing up the doors and getting all that stuff dressed. Sun fading has happened. Again, with the front doors to the town hall, that's on my to-do list, if I can get a couple of days of nice weather in a row. So, like I said, these are all the things that are on my list, and we're prioritizing every other day, every week. So,
I have one question that's
Okay.
important, is vacations.
yes.
We'll make sure that the guys get their vacations in while it's sunny and not snowy.
Yes.
How's that working? Are they monitoring that?
Yes, very good. I do have one employee that's going on vacation tomorrow for 2 weeks, and we'll be on rotation. after he gets back, another employee will take his. I did ask that they not take vacations
The same time.
the same time, basically. And they were very eager to work with that. We're very flexible. Myself, I would take my vacation in the fall before winter. I know I have a couple other guys that just want to keep working to build up their vacation time because they just started, things of that nature. So,
Just don't want to,
to burn out, no.
well, burn out and also to get down to the wire and then say, well, you're gonna lose your time.
Yeah. No,
Time off is
Yep.
just as important as time off.
One thing I initiated a couple of weeks ago was every time Tim sends me the PTO list of everybody, I actually post it in the break room. And I remind my guys to take the vacations when they can now so they don't lose it in the winter time. It's time that's theirs, and it's up to us to make time for them to have that, to take it. So yeah, it's a work in progress. I mean, we're constantly reviewing all that and allowing them time to take. So I know we're coming up on review time, and I'm working on reviews now. I do want to say that I have one employee that has stepped up and done very well, and his review will reflect that. So when I say everybody is working together, I mean everybody is working together. So it's nice to work with a crew like this.
While Kevin is here, we need to talk about the Old Home Day Parade, because we've been invited to go on the float. I don't know how all the other selectmen feel, and Kevin doesn't know that, and he's prepared to have our illustrious float come on Saturday. So while he's here, we should probably decide that and let him know one way or another whether we need him to be on Saturday.
So, you're riding in the dump truck? Somebody has to be one.
The 150th committee built a float. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I passed around, or Catherine had a copy of
We're
what
gonna
that.
be working on that tomorrow night, actually, yes.
So, Kelly Setchley had invited all the selectmen to ride in that float. And that's the question.
The
And if-
committee originally asked to have veterans.
Well,
Did that fall through?
apparently did, because she sent an email and then followed up with a phone call and asked me specifically to ask the
Must have
selectmen.
fallen through.
Right, and if we are to do that, we'd like to take the park benches like you do and put it and get them on a flatbed up at Kelly's place.
Float that she's building.
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be 4 park benches. We should put them back to back, and then we'd be sitting on the park benches just throwing out the candy instead of being on the dump truck, to be lower to the ground.
I still say we ride in the front of the bucket. I would put a park bench there.
Joe, you'll be in a convertible.
It's true.
So we would not be using the dump truck, or would the dump truck be towing that trailer?
No, there's somebody else, I think, that she's already got settled to be towing that trailer. But the dump truck should be in the parade, not necessarily with
I have a
us in it.
giant cupcake I was gonna give Kevin, but I'll bring it tomorrow. I made it. It's not real tasty.
A giant
Giant
cupcake.
cupcake.
As a costume,
No, it's a giant cupcake.
a real giant cupcake.
I'll have it for you tomorrow.
So my second question, it's just, we were doing the manifest and it just caught our eye that we spent $41 for a cup holder on the 3B.
I saw that.
No, I missed that. I haven't seen it yet.
What
See that?
What's
on
up?
earth,
What's up? I say what's
Necessary
up.
equipment.
what on earth do we,
No, I don't think, I think it was on the, out of this guy's.
I didn't
on the
buy it.
3B?
Wasn't Kevin.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it wasn't,
I
What do you-
assumed it was one of those that came with the car that probably got broken.
There was an OME.
Why would we need to
Must be
replace it?
done.
It's a 3B, isn't that a detail pad?
Huh?
Just to put the coffee.
In the winter, you need a place to put the coffee. Come on. I can relate to that.
You mean water?
Whatever they're drinking.
So should,
Whatever we decide, float or trash.
I say float. You say truck?
Well, I see
Me too. We've been invited for the float. I think it's 150th the Selectmen.
Hey, it only happens once in our lifetime, let's go on the float. And that means we don't need to have a guy for that, right? You have a guy that's going to be at the Pines, correct? Okay, so we only need one guy on that day.
But the truck should be in the parade.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. I'd like to see it in the parade. I like it in the parade.
We were actually gonna put the old truck in the parade.
Well, whichever, who's gonna drive it?
Jack's gonna drive it.
There you go.
Is he also going to be down at the Pines?
No,
So that's a separate guy.
Rob's gonna go to the pumps.
Are you volunteering to do that?
No,
What's that?
we voted for this.
Right.
No, we did not vote. You said
I
you
was gonna say, that's
prefer.
illegal.
No, we
That is
voted.
illegal. It's illegal.
Well,
The town of Tilton.
They have to do it by seniority, Joe.
To pay an employee. Glad I wasn't here.
they even said Catholic votes, no.
Well, it's illegal.
so is anyone riding in the dump truck?
No, we're gonna, I vote that we go on the float. How many others? Float. Catherine?
Catherine's voting.
So we're gonna go on the float. Alright,
It's okay to put the truck in the parade?
so can you get tomorrow there, Joe and everybody are gonna go up and help build the float tomorrow. Can you get with Kelly and bring the benches up to her?
Yes, I can do that.
That would be great.
Oh, yeah, let's get Cecile up there.
Yeah.
I Cecile deserves a red confetti.
She
She
wants
can ride
to,
with me. She can ride with me.
excuse me, but she's already put her order in with Donna Hosmer for a red convertible.
Okay,
Whoa,
nice.
wow.
Yes, because she was at the Boston Post came event. She put her order in already.
All right, okay, good.
That's it.
I had a question. When people bring their trash down into the public works, is it supposed to be in purple bags?
I don't, we haven't been enforcing that, I don't,
Why would it?
Yes.
Yeah, because the dumpster has all black bags and it's any purple. And I thought that if people are bringing excess trash, they have to purchase a bag.
Remember the bags that come from Park and Main Street are all what color?
But on
And
the,
those get thrown in the dumpster.
And the people on the far end over there too.
there were others from locals.
What color are the
I-
ones
I
come
just
from?
want to clarify. I don't,
They have black.
The downtown ones are black too.
I don't think that they're aware of Kevin was part of that about the whole purple bag thing that he was. Yeah, informed it, but just decided a while back. I mean, I've been,
I was not aware of
So
that.
are we issuing purple bags to the people that live in the Franklin corner over there? Because there's 5 or 6 houses over there that gets no garbage pickup. That's where they dump their trash. That's where they dump. Most of the garbage is going to be in black bags.
when I was down there, they pulled up with a pickup truck with a whole thing of contractors, trash bags and steamed up. So there's no, no, I was going to, yeah, I was going to take it up with Kevin so that that make sure everybody's on the same page with this before I.
So, Public Works Director, Joe is right, we do have people that don't have trash pickup because of where they're located, they're really close.
Yeah.
What is easier for you? You registration and purple bags? Or if
What's-
somebody says, or they have to show their registration or their driver's license and go from such and such an address? I know the answer, but-
This opens up such a can of worms that I don't think that we should discuss it now because it's a lengthy conversation. I am in favor of a dump sticker that is synced to the person's license plate, that either they get the dump sticker by registering a vehicle or by a tax bill. So that the residents, but they're not linked to the person's vehicle via
They're just
license
handed
plate.
out. I'm a resident and they're handed out.
But how do you
So-
know what sticker, what they're gonna stick it on?
When they're either registering a vehicle or they bring a registration with a tax bill to the town tax collector, they can write the registration of the vehicle on the sticker.
Oh, they just don't, because they pass out stickers, yeah.
They do,
So
but
what's to stop me with my sticker on my pickup to go to Catherine's now, load up with her trash? and take
there's
it
nothing
there?
to stop you from
Nothing,
doing
I
that.
think we're just getting silly.
I could do that, I could go to friends.
That's right, pick up their trash.
Could we get back to the first question? Is it required to have a purple bag to put your trash in the
I
dumpster?
believe it's in the ordinance.
Yes, it was.
So everybody that brings trash down to go into there needs to have a purple bag that they purchased for doing so.
Okay.
If I'm correct, that's what I thought. But there are some exceptions, so now we got to determine how we're going to deal with those people that be on the list.
Okay, so here's a scenario for you. A resident that buys a purple trash bag, goes to the transfer station, dumps their purple trash bag into the dumpster and sees black bags, white bags, clear bags. They come to me, why do I have to buy a purple bag when that resident clearly didn't have to buy that purple bag? Therein lies the stress that we go through at the transfer station. It's a confrontation with these residents on site. You've got one resident that's angry because they were made to purchase a purple bag when this person didn't have to purchase.
There should only
So-
be two answers to that.
So,
Two.
Okay?
Town of Tilton trash from the parks and Main Street, and the residents who do not have trash pickup, curbside
Okay.
trash pickup.
Prove
Those
it
are
to
the only
me.
two exceptions.
Okay.
there shouldn't be any other bags other than what's in there. You know, our town stuff, or the residents of the commission, or purple bags.
Okay.
So we should probably have a sign that says purple order of the selectmen, so you can go talk to them.
Well, the other side of it is, if I have more trash than what fits into my dumpster, and I buy a purple bag, it's because I have surplus trash. And theoretically, that's how it's supposed to work. I mean, the whole thing was so that people would generate less trash, if you will.
We pick up the equivalent of 5 bags a week. That's what it's supposed to be, 5 bags a week. Whatever it is. We have a number. And it usually have a number. But I could get 5 regular bags in my can. Be that as it may.
Yeah.
And we used to have the whole pay-as-you-throw system, which I don't know if you were on board with us for that, which is where the whole purple bag thing came into play. So that you didn't get hit with construction debris going in that dumpster, for instance.
I have 3 pallets of purple bags sitting on my shop
I
floor
know
right
you
now.
do, I know you do.
We have a bunch downstairs too, don't we, Pat?
Are there,
Oh,
are there locations where these purple bags are sold?
There used to be,
Town hall.
sure.
Town hall.
And that's,
And you would
that's-
sell them as well.
And that's for the purpose of surplus trash.
Yeah. If I
Anybody
had
that-
extra garbage, if I come down to your dumpster, I bring stuff down there, but I don't bring my garbage.
Yeah.
You know, I might bring cardboard, but you could sell cardboard.
Sure.
I think one of the things is, we have some neighboring towns that don't have trash pickup. So, people are actually putting stuff into our town trash to avoid them having to pay somewhere else for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to use up the purple bags.
are such
So-
a fine quality bag.
It says in the ordinance, trash placed inside the trash cart must be bagged and fit within the confines of the cart and lid closed. Any trash bags at the curb is not permitted and will not be collected. Special town of Tilton trash bags may be purchased from the town for excess or overflow trash to be disposed at the town Tilton Public Works Department during specified hours. 910-02, limitations on the amount of curbside trash and recycling collection. That's in the trash ordinance.
I know it's gonna be a lot of. I just ruined your day.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
I actually have a solid waste plan.
This was
Now is
adopted
not
in
the time.
2017. There's got to be some type of updates that were needed. It was adopted in 2017, and I'm sure there are many updates needed in this, because I can look at a couple right now that I'm reading.
But you said you got a plan?
I have a plan. Tonight is not the time to discuss. I think that we should set aside a specific window for us to come in and talk about the options and the vision that I have for the solid waste
Maybe
of Tilton.
September.
Next week. Yeah. No.
Great idea.
Like July. I want to get it out there and get people thinking about it.
Nancy.
Possibly set up a committee so that we can have a collaboration of thoughts and people involved, so that all aspects are covered. And
So,
I think that we have to start thinking of future. You know, where's Tilton going to be 20 years from now? The system we have now definitely won't handle the solid waste in 20 years or even 5 years. So I want to start initiating or start thinking about ways to handle that future impact. Everything from our yard waste, because we're running out of room for yard waste, our recycling, things of that nature. Maybe researching a pulverizer for glass, a baler for cardboard and plastics, and still having an NRA there as a backup or a resource to get rid of some stuff. But I'd rather start seeing us take advantage of that recycle market and take out the middleman, finding our vendors to come in and take our recycling away. That way we can reassure our residents that feel strongly about recycling, that their recycling is going to the right place. Because a lot of residents are seeing the trash get picked up with the same truck that the recycling gets picked up. And it's creating a lot of questions. Where's my recycling going? A lot of people don't know.
My neighborhood has two separate trucks.
Not always, they can use the same truck, you just flush it up, clean it out.
In my neighborhood, they're two different
No.
color trucks.
Well,
So we'll get that
So,
together
yeah,
probably
we-
like
so if you,
3-4 weeks.
yeah, 3 or 4 weeks from now, I'll present my plan, and yeah, we can keep pushing forward with this.
In the interim, how we want to handle the purple bag.
I can generate a sign to put up at the transfer station and remind people of the town ordinance and that the purple bag.
slowly work into warning people that
Yes, that it's going to be enforced.
it's going to be enforced.
Or they could purchase a bag for each bag that they're throwing out at this time. Maybe
Yeah.
not put it in it, but
Yeah.
attach it to it or something.
Yeah,
But-
throw away the perfectly empty bag.
Yeah. Some bag.
Peter
has his hand up. Peter?
Yeah, speaking of signs, I've got a picture from almost 3 years ago. Tilton Transfer Station fees effective 7/3/04 through 10/31/04. Are we ever going to replace said sign at the highway
Part
garage?
of my plan.
Okay.
In fact, it says,
We've heard this every
I better, since I have it here, I might as well hand it out.
Immediate attention. Transfer station prices and customers. See what I did? Got all this
You're prepared.
So this is study information.
But these are projected thoughts and ideas for our solid waste proposal.
Yeah.
No, my idea with that is if we have a yearly operating transfer station, we won't need those 2 weeks a year. There are a lot of residents that bring stuff that we take year round that doesn't cost anything for residents in that 1 week. And it's our overtime and the extra dumping fees that are
You're gonna have to have it figured out and figure out how you're gonna have a contract this one bringing
You've got, just a reminder, you've got performance appraisal, so.
Yeah, we got a lot.
so.
This looks good on paper so far.
But before Kevin goes, I just had a couple things. First, I wanted to let you know that, John, you had asked a question about the electrical over on the island. Kevin went and checked it out. I talked to J.P. Carter today, and he assured that those issues would be taken care of before the first concert. So wanted to let you know about that.
It was surveyed.
And you asked Joe, Kevin touched upon it lightly. I'd asked Kevin about it earlier today to address out with the board about the idea of needing more staff at DPW. And essentially what he has said is he believes he is good. He's not, I'm trying to think ahead. Do we need to put an ad in the paper, given how long it takes to find people? Kevin feels like he's all set.
Yeah.
So not going to be looking for...
There was some question with my new crew, whether or not we'd be able to perform adequately
Well,
to
there's
handle the
my
workload.
question. If one guy's off every week all summer,
Yep,
then you're one guy down,
yep,
and you're still okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then the last issue is, that Kevin arranged to have the sonogram done on Academy Street. So at some point, we should probably discuss it. It doesn't need to happen tonight, but I'd like some direction from you about how to move forward with that. And that's it. Thanks, Kevin.
Excellent. Great job. Shows are out there.
Excellent.
Well, there's a thing here about the difference in the quote and the difference in the final pricing on the Winnisquam Market paving.
That's on my report.
I understand that, but we have Kevin Duval
Yes.
sitting right here, and his name is mentioned, and you
a
claim
bad
that
way.
that amount is correct, based on what specifically?
The TAC coat wasn't included in the original RFP.
And what code?
TAC coat, what adheres the top to the base, so that was an additional cost. And there was no, the cost of the asphalt increased.
So essentially what happened, because I talked to Joyce about it, I talked to Brock, talked to Porter Paving. There are 3, I don't know if the correct term is bump outs into the Route 3 that Joyce had asked Porter Paving to pave so that it would hit the highway pavement. Additionally, in the contract, there was language that if the sewer or the, what was it, I have it in there.
Storm drains.
Storm drains. And there were 5 that were in question, they fixed 2 of them. And so when they came back with this additional amount of $8,000, Chris, said, because we did this extra, he went out and measured, came back, said this was what it was. I asked Kevin to go out and measure just to make sure that, so I've talked to everyone about it. And that was,
Okay, I get all
They
of that.
fixed sewer, does sewer pay some of that?
I was gonna ask, do we have a breakdown of what that cost of rebuilding the sewer structure was?
I want to say it was 500 for the sewer and 500 for the storm drain, and the rest of it was taken up in the extra paving with the materials.
We should get some type of, for that,
Yeah,
Okay.
they should pay for their own, that's part of their thing, for sure. And I'm a little incredulous that they did a project without the tack code. They're an asphalt company, right? They didn't know that
I
this
wasn't involved with
They
that
did
job.
a project that the RFP was written on.
I
But
didn't,
they knew that there had to be a tack code. Porter Bailey's,
yes.
You don't have to do it, it's recommended.
knowing full well that was gonna be a cost over there.
No, you don't have to do it, you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you don't.
Okey dokey.
Just to answer your, R&D paving has incorporated the tack code in the original RFP, so we won't have any surprises.
How do we stand
Up the
with
street,
the
right?
silver expenditure from the fund for the rest of our projects? Is it gonna mushroom?
We're not that
It's
close.
spent next year, Catherine.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
I can hear a question.
Yeah.
When is
I-
Cedar Street going to finish?
Water company
What?
starting what, July 1st?
Yeah.
I've got an answer.
Have they-
Oh, I thought he answered your question. Sorry.
Excuse me, what?
Are we still gonna be able to do the sidewalks?
Yes.
And you're gonna take the
No.
I can't hear it.
Sidewalks.
It's hard this way too. It's all the
When
noise.
is
You
Cedar
have to,
Street
and you have to
Yeah.
talk right into it.
I wanted
That's
the
my
answer to the
fault.
sidewalk
I'm not
one,
doing
and I
that.
didn't hear you on the sidewalk one first.
Yes, the sidewalks are still to go. And Cedar Street will be finished as soon as I get word from the water department that they're done. R&D is gonna come in and finish, and do a base coat on Cedar.
Can sewer put our manhole in? We can't do
Oh,
it.
that's gonna be in,
After, we gotta go after
oh,
that.
yes, yes. That little project is kind of working with
Is
them.
water even mobilized? Have they got any materials up on that?
Materials are there, yes. Yep. And I had spoken with John Chase. They're planning on starting the first week of July.
Next week or the?
Next week.
Week of the 4th?
Yes.
I've gotten comments from one resident of that area that there's potholes.
Already been addressed.
Serious potholes,
Already
and
been
that
addressed.
the road gets really dusty, hasn't been
Already-
treated adequately.
Already been addressed.
And
Yeah,
as we go
it's been
forward, it
addressed
will be
multiple
continuously.
times.
Well, if it ain't working, then it has to be done even more often.
Well, you can't water the road every single day. That would just be,
Well, I try to watch the weather
And salt
reports.
mixed or whatever.
Right on
it is,
Saturday.
it shouldn't have to be
Catherine, they
done
have to.
every day.
Are we all set with this? Because we're real far behind schedule. Is there anything that,
all right, one last question. You're gonna coordinate the sidewalks with J.P. Carter for the conduit?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't know what your priorities now, because this project is so cool.
No, we're, yeah, I'm on top of
Being on
it.
top of it.
run?
Good for the horse.
You'll be triple
Lift
okay.
is quicker.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
No, it's good.
Chief. Back again.
I don't know if you want to go ahead, since the chief is here, to do the performance appraisals and then do our town administrator selectmen's reports after, or since he's here. Because the performance appraisals that you're going to hear tonight are the 4 from the police department.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. You got the time? Yeah. Good thing. And then, of course, that would be a non-public thing.
Yes, it
So
will be.
we'll go with that, whatever else.
I just don't
we
want
have.
you to be too tired.
Don't want to get near that 5
Yeah.
minutes vacant. You don't want to get
Well, the
there.
report will be
Yeah.
back online, right? Is there anything different from the report that you're going to say that you haven't already got online?
Just a couple quick things. One of the things, I put in 2 reports in a row. Nadeem is on the Belknap team. He got accepted to the Belknap team.
The what now?
Found that.
And we haven't had anyone on it for a while. The last time we had someone on it was Chris several years ago. And,
SWAT?
yeah,
All right.
yeah, we haven't, each town in the county should have someone on it. They, not only do they participate in the regional team, but they bring the training back. And it's really important for each department to be part of it. It's one of those you hope you never need it deals, but when you do, you really need it. And other towns have been needing it quite a bit lately in the county, but I'll knock on wood that we haven't. But you want to have someone from your department on it. But we used to keep 2 or 3 on it, and Cap and I talked about it. Because it is mandatory now for 2 days a month, we were going to stick to 1 person and keep it at 1.
So
And
they upped it from 1 day?
to
per-
2, yeah,
to-
and that's nationally, so, and it's out of our control. But that being said, because of that, we're just going to stick to 1 person going forward, keep it simple. And so it's something, you guys know, when I used to be involved with it quite a bit. I think that it's a very professional resource, not only for, you know, God forbid, an armed subject or something like that, but we've used them for other things too, like floods, missing persons, that sort of stuff. But we've been fortunate that we haven't had anything.
I understand the need for the SWAT team, and I support the SWAT team, but that said, what does it cost us?
So his training days would just be straight time, so it wouldn't be,
That costs us
Yeah.
something, so what exactly does it cost us? Of course, he'll be off the road during those 2 days.
he might be at the range one day, and if he's at the range,
He's off
that's,
the road.
it's still, I have to, so I guess either way, I have to put training into him by the academy guidelines, so those days count towards that.
I love that, chief. I got no problem with that. I just want to know what
It
it
would be
costs.
his straight time hourly rate for 8 hours. I could get that
Twice a
number
month?
for you, yeah.
Twice a month.
12 times a year.
Yeah, so this year it's only,
Plus incidents. Now, if he went to an incident, he
Then
gets
they
straight
pay.
time as
Yeah.
well, right?
Then they
Or-
pay.
Hmm?
Then they would pay.
we cover his time if he goes to
If
a
he-
call out. But if I bring the team in here, those departments cover the 20 people
Right.
they send to me, is how it works,
So,
so.
okay, we're paying for him to go to calls as well. Is that
We do.
straight time, or that could be overtime?
It could be either or. Now, the thing I always used to tell chiefs, because I ran one of these things for years, is obviously town comes first. If he was like the midnight guy, and if the call came in at 3 a.m., he might not be able to go. If there was something where he had court that day, he might not be able to go to training. Commanders know that. You can't make everything. Obviously, the town always comes first. But it's an incredible resource for us.
Incredible. The
Yeah.
only,
Oh, no, I get that.
the only time that it really affected us was years ago when we had 3 or 4
That was tough.
from the agency. It was tough because we had a couple, a detective, prosecutor, and a sergeant, a corporal at the time, I'm sorry, and then an officer. So we had 4 on the team,
Right.
and that's when it really affected us. So it's a great resource because we'll be able to network and
Yeah,
so on.
yeah.
So if we didn't have a police officer that was part of this, does that mean they wouldn't respond to us?
No, that's a great question. They would come. The only problem is the people that are coming are being guided by someone from our agency, and we don't get the training. So like, when he goes to the training, he brings it back and he passes it on to our officers, because it's changing all the time. And so I used to tell towns and cities when I went around doing this, because this was my life for many years, is, yeah, you can subscribe to it and be part of it and not have anyone on it, but your officers don't benefit from the training of it. And, yeah, I know. And we, you know, the other piece of that too is it is a great retention tool for holding officers, and departments realize that. To have things like detectives or be part of that, or be part of the Clan Lab team, or these different things that officers specialize in, is also, they're happier in their job, they're longer employees, and it's something that towns our size benefit from. I know we've had people on it before, and
The townspeople weren't happy with me.
Well, I've done some quick numbers here. I've got a couple of questions. Do we buy their equipment, or does that?
they do. They
buy
provide the equipment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a quick 24 days times 8 hours times, I use $20 per hour, which may or may not, I think it's lowballing here, but that's $3,840 just for the training. If he goes on calls, heaven forbid, I mean, I don't want to see that for a lot of reasons, but that would be in excess of that. Also, that appears to me to be 24 shifts that he would be in a patrol car that somebody else has to cover.
So
That shift
yeah,
has
the
to
way
be covered.
the way we usually do it is try to have part-timers on the training days. He would have 2 a month. Some months they don't. We don't have to cover it because we have enough people if he's on that shift. But
Part-timers pay his money.
yeah, no, I know. And the other piece is
$600 without responding to a call.
if I didn't put him on any team at all, I still have to send him the 40 hours of training a year anyway. That now where he's part of
Counts
that,
against that?
that counts against that. And that's the benefit. And if he's a firearms instructor, that counts against that. So if you start to back out all the stuff that I would have to do if he wasn't part of it, it almost ends up being a wash in the end.
Is there a premium for firearms instructors in the contract? A premium for firearms instructors? You get certain
No bonus.
certifications.
Yeah,
The
no.
certification is huge, and the training that they get from this level of, I should say, this level of training far outweighs the training that they would get down at the academy. And that's
Are
what
you
they're
saying that the academy isn't good?
It's a different level.
Oh,
It's a different level of training. It's a different depth of training.
So many ways to shoot a person.
Actually,
Well,
that's true. I've been on one of those things.
And that's what it is.
A couple of them.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what they're bringing back to the officers.
They get called, for a call, but forbid, that typically will generate overtime for somebody to cover a shift because it's unexpected to be called out. You don't know how long it will be.
So it's going to cost us upwards of 10
You know,
grand.
whether you send them for the 40 hours of regular, there is a huge cost, potentially huge cost.
Yeah.
So every shift is replaced always?
So,
No,
but
no.
but you have this though every single day when you do mutual aid.
Yeah.
When our detectives go over to Northfield and help solve a case, we have this every day.
And there's a cost to that.
There is a cost to that. I mean,
That's all
this
I'm
is what
asking,
it's,
is what is the cost?
you know, this is
I understand that.
the cost of being a police agency in a
You don't
town.
have to convince me about
We have the most
necessity.
expensive
So you-
police agency in the state. Per
I'm
capita.
as good as I'm
Explain
gonna get.
that. Justify that.
Well, let's go
Per capita,
beyond
most
that.
expensive.
Let's go beyond that. That's a separate conversation.
No, that is workers' compensation, that's what we're becoming. I mean, how can you live there? Let's keep going. Having the cost right on the old taxpayers,
Yeah, but we have a very good police department.
no doubt. We should have the best in the state.
So is the alternative to say, oh, you know what, Nadine, not go to, you can't go to SWAT because we don't want you to be trained? I mean, what's the alternative here?
I'm not saying that.
Well,
I just I want to know.
What is the conversation? This is where the conversation-
Super policemen, do they need that training to be a police officer in the town of Tilton? And the answer
Some
is no.
Some
they
of our
don't.
some of our police officers have gone to some training in FBI. Do they need that training? That
No.
training has been far beyond, they have solved
All of them?
major
No.
cases because they've
This
gone
is
to
an
that training.
age-old thing that we've brought up a lot, so maybe we need to,
So we are where we are because nobody listens.
We're not
But
gonna-
Let's move on, I agree with you.
go
And
ahead.
go down.
Do you want to go into non-public to do the,
Not lessons, but did you have
Anything else in public, Chief?
Do you dare?
yeah, the other thing I did have too is Detective Buffington got a grant for some BDUs through his drug enforcement grant that would cover BDUs for the officers, 100%, so nothing reimbursed. where he can outfit the officers with BDUs to, when they do granite shield, when they work in the evidence room, when they do prosecute, when they go into evidence scenes and they have to collect all the evidence, that sort of stuff that they're not wearing this outfit.
BDU?
BDU, like a,
Moon suit?
no, it's just kind of like a, we
Battle
call it a
dress
Class C
uniform,
uniform, like,
what is-
they would wear it to the range, they would wear it if they were gonna
Class
go
C
and collect
uniform.
evidence on a crime scene, that kind of thing. It's a couple $100 an officer, but it's 100% reimbursed, so it's a money in, money out. But Nate said that we would have to make a decision by the end of this month, so I told him I'd bring it to you.
Good for him. I'm all for it. Any grant money for 100% in and out, good for them.
It's maintenance cost too.
A uniform.
They're washable, so it's just
Regular clean.
regular.
Toss it in the wash. They have
I-
to clean it every time they use it.
You should, especially if you're doing it, if you're doing a crime scene and that kind of thing, or
So what does BDU stand for?
basic duty uniform,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And battle dress uniform or something like that?
That's it, those are my two items, so, yeah, I'm,
Acronyms.
So we gotta give him an answer.
This would be at no cost to the
No
town
cost at all.
taxpayers?
100% reimbursed.
Reimbursed.
yeah.
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
And we have a motion, a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I declined to vote.
And one declination. Okay. Anything else before we go into non-public? So, I'm gonna make a motion, we go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, paragraph 2A. Dismissal, promotion, compensation, public employee, or disciplining such employee, or investigate charges against him unless the employee affected has the right to a meeting, request the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes?
Wilson, yes.
Fog, yes.
Desmond, yeah.
Scanlon, yes?
It's unanimous. We are red is on. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel issues. Permanent.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Abstain.
Did you get the second? Was from Catherine? Or no?
Catherine was the second.
It's kind of quiet. I don't know if you're recording.
No,
Sorry, I was reading it.
Oh, see. Okay, so, we've got town administrators report.
Okay, I'll be really quick. So, first I want to take the Winnisquam market paving and ask you what you would think. Just, I mean, I wasn't here when all this happened, but it sounds like from talking to Joyce and having Kevin go out and measure everything to see what was actually paved, and talking with Joyce and looking at the contract, that it's legitimate.
Really don't have a choice with this, isn't it?
The work is done and been approved by the proper authority at that time. I'm disappointed it went up as significantly as
It
it
wasn't
did.
approved by the proper authority at that time.
Joyce
The other
was-
thing is,
well,
you
no.
got
The proper authority.
a difference of 462 square yards, what was the total? Because I'm trying to see, they're almost doubling the cost with a couple of structures. Two structures would probably be $1,000 combined, so I'm just,
So he says here at the very beginning for the RFP, we were told by the Tilton DPW approximately 1,600 square yards of area. After several site visits with him, the town administrator, and a few selectmen, they decided to change the total area of square foot to be reclaimed and paved. Today I walked every square inch of that road with my measuring wheel and came up with the total area that was reclaimed and paved to be 18,559 square feet, or 2,062 square yards, a difference of 462 square yards more area paved. So, it said the very first invoice with the sewer cover storm drain rebuild, the loads of gravel and extra base coat asphalt, the selectmen wouldn't have noticed a price change as it was lower than the original project total. However, once the final price came in for the top coat with the asphalt price increase, the liquid top coat, and extra tonnage to cover the area, this may explain the increase.
Yeah, except for, unless you have an escalation clause, the contractor should be eating the change in asphalt. Because he was asked if he hold this price, I believe, he said yes, so.
What are you talking about, the difference in the increase in asphalt price?
Well, I don't. Total, so the project total, the estimate, project total without any add-ons was $42,820. Then in the contract, it says additional project cost as directed by Tilton DPW. Crushed gravel is needed for fine grading, rebuild storm drain structures and sewer structures.
Some of this is also capital shit. They didn't do the Route 3 bump outs until this year. Well, I'm trying to figure out the 462 square yards. The 3 bump outs aren't going to be that many square yards. Square yards, 3 feet by 3 feet.
Well,
So
some
a
places,
typical slot opening is probably about 30 feet.
it sounds.
3 by 6, so we've got 180. So that's 20 square yards. Divide by 9 per square feet. You got 180 square feet. And divide by 9, you get 20 square yards. 462. So bump outs to me aren't that much. So where else is
But did he have?
Well, there was 3 sets of them, so say 60. We've still got the 400 additional square yards. One of the bump outs is bigger, so that's.
Didn't he go down by the state in that area that they needed to have the state further down, where the boats went in? It was all grass.
I don't know.
Wasn't the square footage given to the contractor,
Square yardage, yes.
square yardage, sorry, I was contractor, square yardage, given to the contractor, wasn't that determined by the then public works director?
But you did changes this year with the new public works director and the previous town administrator, I believe.
But I don't, asphalt had already been laid.
This year.
Huh?
Asphalt had already been laid before.
Just the binder. We hadn't done the top coat.
Okay, but do we know actually how much square yardage there was?
With the binder.
If you went out with a wheel,
Right.
would your measurement have been different from the public works director?
And as I mentioned to Kevin, I did ask Kevin to go out and measure and confirm if he came up with the same numbers that Chris Harris gave us, and he said yes, the numbers were the same.
A note to him, the way it should be done is they walk it together and agree at the same time.
Exactly.
That way, there's no discussion.
The numbers are, the final numbers are accurate in each of them.
I think
I have-
this is sort of like a, you know, in baseball terms, the out is caused by the error is caused by the previous one. This is caused by the previous one.
Yes and no. No, there's some with this one too. Well, we added surface work. That would be this year's.
But
We
regardless,
didn't add 462 square yards.
Yeah, we did. That's what this says.
That was
From
with
the
Joyce, that was not with Kevin.
Huh?
That was Joyce, and,
Right.
I mean, that, at least that's what Joyce told me, because I called Joyce and asked her about it, and she actually came into the office. I don't know when.
It says it
came
in
into-
here, rock located.
So but regardless of this conversation, we just heard that our current public works director concurred with final square yardage. So what case do we have to contest the final amount? We don't.
The price per ton, we could,
That we might have, I don't know what the contract.
except for the way it was bid, it was a lump sum price, wasn't it? So it's not broken up. Wasn't it so much for
I don't
binder,
know,
so much for,
I also asked him to give me all the slips, and I had them, and I think Kevin came and picked them up. I asked Kevin to look at it as well. So I have all that, I just don't have it here.
But he does have a point about pricing out of it, because it was a bid.
unless we put in a true escalation clause, which ties into either asphalt or diesel prices. That's what DOT does, to protect themselves. If it changes a certain percent, it can go up or down.
I think I recall that part.
It's not the way Kevin writes it.
Well, it doesn't matter either now or later, because some cars.
Well, no, an escalation
We can
clause,
discuss that when we get the binder.
if you do the escalation clause, it's sort of protecting all parties because it's keeping
But
the
did
price
we do an
ratio.
escalation? No, we did not.
And the one Kevin did for the other is not an escalation clause. It's basically,
So when you make the amount of material, since there's no disputing that, it's actually put down.
Right.
well, except for if we asked for an inch overlay and they did an inch and a half, they just went up 50% on the tonnage and we're not paying for that, I guess, by the ton, I'm not sure.
Did they go an inch and a half? Did they go an inch and a
Well, you
half?
give me the total square yards and I can tell you how many tons of binder, how many tons of surface.
And then what do we do with that knowledge? We still pay
Find
the
out
bill.
whether the contractor did it per specs, if it said 2.5 inches of binder and an inch of surface. And we got 2 inches of binder and 2 inches of surface. They cut on one and stuck it to us on the other, that's what it's telling me.
Yeah, this is the same one without the tag code. Look, we learn our lesson and we move on, I think.
I can say that every business down there and resident is just very happy with the results. That's, I never thought I'd have anybody from down there come up in such
Yeah,
groups and say how thank
I'm
you so much.
surprised I haven't actually heard any complaints since everything got done.
I still think we should just get it.
I didn't want to pave that road to begin with. They should have been able to have that road alone itself. Why have we maintained that road to start? The fact that we're now paying $8,000 more just pisses me off. 16%. They went up 16% over the bid, and I wasn't in favor of the bid. So you know where I'm at. We learn our lesson and we move on. In my room.
So do I have
Joe's gonna
consensus?
make a motion to get a lawyer appointed.
You can get Jesse.
Well, I mean, so do we have to pay it this week?
He's been calling me like every other day.
How long do we have to go?
I would say it's probably been, gosh, well,
2 or 3 months.
at least, let's see. So, 4/30, 2019, 4/30.
Oh,
April. 12, 30 days. So,
I was just saying, Peter.
Well,
it's
we can
90
al-
days, Catherine.
We can always pay the original balance and tell them we're figuring out the additional.
Yeah, I mean, if
There's
there
something in
feels
this.
there might be a possibility of contesting any part of this, they can be investigated.
so, because I think the balance we had left over was 10,000 and some odd dollars. Are you suggesting pay that and then,
And let them know we're still discussing
okay.
the additional work.
What does everybody think?
Then we need to find out what the difference is on the pricing, that difference.
Peter, would you like to meet with Chris and have that discussion?
First off, I gotta look at the contract again to see how they bid out.
Yeah, I have the whole file right here.
Yes, I'm paying for moving forward, pay that portion and then come to the bigger things. You, Catherine?
Yes.
Right, moving right along.
We get three people to pay that portion.
I think we've made, the contract that was drawn up previously and brought to us, and I'm sure that it was right, but a previous Public Works Director kind of messed me up. I had faith in that information. I think we should pay it.
What part, 10,000?
What's due?
I got the feeling we're gonna pay it annually.
And going forward, I think we should.
Doesn't hurt to look at.
And that's fine, but there's some selectmen that want to look at it.
Yeah,
I get that.
That's fine.
I'm just
All right.
speaking.
Well, let's do it too. Look
Yeah.
at it. Thank you, Peter, for doing that.
Peter, should I just have Chris contact you directly to meet, talk about this?
Yeah, I gotta have let me get some stuff first, because I'd like to know what I'm talking about before I meet him, yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm trying to,
All right, snow stops for the senior center. Finally got the bid, it's in your action, under the action items. My question to you is, well, they're recommending 65 stops at $35 each for about $22.75. Do you want us to research 2 more quotes, or do you want to approve this one?
How much is it?
What did Catherine say?
How come it didn't go out to more than one? Were these the folks I wasn't involved with, were
These
these
are folks that did
who
the work.
did the work, the roof?
Is it over 1,000?
Yeah,
It's 22.
Yeah.
300 almost.
it's too long.
And we need to know if having somebody else install these things voids our warranty on the roof.
We had that question and that discussion, and that's why we only went to these
Oh.
people, and we waited
Did they
almost a
state
month for them
the
to
part, or
return.
just brought the part that they put on
So
there?
what does it say in the guarantee? Do we have a written warranty for the roof?
Yeah, we do have a written warranty,
I,
25 years.
I don't know how
It
they.
does say in there that it's null and void if somebody else does work on it.
I don't know, that was my question,
Yeah.
because I don't know.
I don't either.
But you said it did.
No, I said,
Oh.
when we had this discussion about a month or so ago, when we said to check into it, we need to check into the warranty, and that's when the board decided that it's best to go with the same person that did the roof
Gotcha.
to avoid any problems with the warranty. And that's why Gail only went to one person.
Okay, yeah,
That's
that's
why.
kind of,
Yeah.
we should chat
Until-
with them.
Until
That's
we
fine.
find out that it's $2,500, yeah, a couple things.
So we'll wait another month or
Yeah,
so.
little plastic things, you back out the screw, you screw it right back in the same hole. I was
So-
out for, let's get a ladder.
So, just to follow up, you want me to check on the warranty and then also find out how it's getting attached to the roof? Is that
No,
what?
what do you want there?
I don't think there's any harm in getting the 2 extra quotes, because, you know, it's a bargaining chip. We can say to them, hey, we got 2 extra quotes. Look at the warranty, see if there's actually any language in there that says if we have anyone else do anything on the roof, that's not on the roof.
Okay, I will follow up.
Catherine says.
Okay, all right.
That's a 30%
It's no
increase on
brainer,
that.
yes.
Yes,
Each way, yeah, it's
Yes, we're really fun.
well,
Oh, yeah, I'll take the
I hate to
outside.
tell you, there's only one,
That's something I think.
One line, one
only
line?
one line.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's a grant, it's not a
But
fee.
I do want to go over it with you really quickly because I got, it came in, the total project cost was more than I expected, so I'm working to reduce one of the contractors down in terms of project cost. The L-chip grant.
Oh.
So there's only, this is a grant to look at the building, the masonry. There's been, I've heard that there's black mold
Where?
in the wall. Did we mitigate it?
Years ago, yeah.
When they put in the elevator shaft, they opened up the wall. Evidently, there was a place where water had gotten in and a section of stuff had gotten molded. But it's not like the building is full of black mold. My understanding was at the time, they cut it out.
It's
Oh,
all cut out.
And it was disposed of.
We scrapped it
Yep.
with the water vapor barrier
oh,
Yeah.
up and replaced all the sheet rock. It's right behind the meeting table downstairs.
And in the basement, they did
Good.
work in the basement too.
That on the wall evidently is two thicknesses of bricks. There's an airspace in between.
okay,
So,
all right. That's it for me.
You only got 2 back from the firms?
So far.
I did want to bring to your attention, actually, I'm sorry, one more thing. The windows. So the upper, or the lower panes of the upper windows, they came back a second time because they didn't get them clean. And they still didn't get them clean. And I talked to the window guy who did the cleaning yesterday, and he said it's mineral deposits on those windows that can't come off. Kevin disagrees. He believes there's some product you can use to get it off. But in any event, they didn't get them cleaned. The owner of GNC, who subcontracted it out, came in today and told us that he would delete cleaning the upper floor windows from the invoice. Inside, outside, upper floor, so.
So
You can
that's
see.
I know you can, yeah.
You could leave that for you. Because there's a check that we have that includes $1,000.
It's gonna get, because it was cut already, it was, they're gonna credit back to the account. But if you'd rather have us just cancel the check and write a new one for the amount. It happened after Tim had created the check.
Good.
essentially, we get a credit the
Yes.
next time one of those comes in.
I have faith that if Tim knows we're supposed to get a credit, that we will get our
We will get a
credit.
credit.
So back to my other question, there's only 2 firms, so the one that did the contract last year did not apply for the CBA?
No. I'm sorry. They have till the 15th of July, and we've just gotten 2 in so far, so I expect more in. I was just kind of giving you a status update of that. And the idea is that on the 15th, they'll all be in. When we meet on the 18th, we can look at them then and decide where to go. But having said that, with all these performance evaluations, I assume we're not going to have a selectmen's meeting next Thursday because it's a holiday. Do you feel like you're going to want to either have an extra selectmen's meeting to get through all the performance evaluations, or we could dedicate one selectmen's meeting to performance evaluations and get it done?
It's gonna take more than one.
Think so?
We only did 4 tonight.
It's a burnout if you do it all in one.
When
Well,
July.
You just end up paying retro.
yeah, it's just
I know that,
retroactive.
but I always like to try and put that target, so just see how far over.
Well, next year we'll be farther ahead of it.
You know, I've heard that for the last 10 years.
I didn't,
I've heard, but I'm just saying, I have heard that.
New Horizons.
And that, all right, okay.
We will,
Are they
We
coming
will
tonight,
do it.
Catherine?
we will.
So,
They coming?
let's have.
So I suggest that we do one night, just, not, Thursday night, because we have the whole thing with the lease, that construction manager, that's being brought up, and then we have
CBA,
CBA, and then we have, a couple of other items on our list that we need to talk
employee,
about.
the employee handbook, I'm gonna wanna get that done.
I mean, there's so much things on our agenda right now
Yeah.
that we,
What about you for Wednesday night?
Just say when.
Just say when. How about I look at the calendar and
Yeah, I have lots of meetings.
Wednesday
Just
nights.
let me know, and I'll see what I can.
Well, and I shoot out some dates.
You, go ahead.
Okay.
Keep putting them into real stuff.
There's no budget in July, so.
Yeah, well, no, reviews and,
All about that. So we can't do it Tuesday, right?
and on a Thursday.
Wednesdays?
There's legal.
Okay.
Well, we could get a lot done if they're all ready for us. Which is top of my list when I select the schedule.
Where are we looking on?
So, the island, again, timetable Mabel, I'm waiting to hear back on that. I've finally tracked all that down, just trying to separate out the projects. The island is, Northfield voted, Tilton voted to accept, Northfield voted to give. We haven't had any success with the reaching out to the heirs. So, short answer is I need to do some more work on it.
So we have some bills for the electric.
Mhm.
We need to do the railings on Northfield still in our paying for.
I'm sorry?
Northfield will still be paying half until the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's, because just because you had the vote, it isn't done until it's done.
So to get the electric, then we need to notify Northfield. We have,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
substantial, and I brought up just to the rest of us, let them know. The outlet that's over by the telephone pole, first come in where the signboard is lying on a rock face up like the slots open. Okay?
Makes sense.
Yeah, the one that he put the pole, put the cover and everything on it, but went to test it with the brake on it, and that doesn't work. So, I don't know what the status of that one was. The gazebo one, if you look at the gazebo on the right-hand side, that one works. It's a little rusty, but it doesn't have a weather cover on it. The one on the left-hand side, somebody took two by fours, screwed them down to the deck, and then put a vertical piece of plywood blocking the outlet off.
For what possible reason?
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
I
Jan
don't know, but, so this is gonna be probably pretty substantial. And Jeannie's got the list, Kevin,
I already sent it.
They
to
lost
Jason.
power a
gonna pay
couple
for
of
this?
times last year with the band
What's that?
out the gazebo.
Well, I mean, to your point, it's still under Northfield, Tilton, nothing has changed.
Our agreement with them is before we expend the money.
Right, you have to
So
talk
let
to
them know.
them. That's correct, right.
So it's gonna be a slow process, you're gonna get the estimates, say this is what it's gonna cost, this is why, then they have to decide, and when's the first concert?
The
Next
7th,
that makes
the
sense.
7th.
I think we should let them know at any rate, whatever.
Okay, I'll send a,
We gotta
Have
do
it
it.
fixed by the 7th?
We gotta do it.
It's an emergency repair.
Let them know.
It's just a lot, it's on their insurance policy.
Okay, so I'll at least let Northfield know that it needs to be done and
Yeah.
we're doing it because it's an emergency situation. And as soon as we, we'll be sending it out.
It is what it is.
One question to you and my selectmen's report.
All right, how many people are actually be on the float? You know, you're going to be accompanied by anybody because we're doing bags of candy tomorrow.
One.
Great. Two, you,
I'm in a convertible this year.
one,
I'm uptown.
one, and
Downtown.
one, two, three, 8. Okay. All right, next thing on my list is our summer schedule for our bus came out, and unfortunately for the next 6 weeks, starting July 8th, my route does not get done until 4:30. So I will not be coming in until 4:45. So,
That's flag in minutes.
so if you could not schedule really important things right at the beginning, that would be greatly appreciated. If you have to, that's fine. I get it.
Gives you minutes. Like you could just
Yeah,
write
I can do
FYI
that.
and then we'll bring up those at the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any grammar or punctuation changes, those don't take a decision at the board, those are just, oh, by the way. That's how you spell, you missed a big period, yeah, those should, you should just send in.
Okay, and the other thing, and I don't know what purview this falls under, whether it's parks and conservation, I don't know, but it was very unusual during the street fair. By the way, great job everyone on the street fair, it was really excellent.
Judy Tilton
That was a great job.
and everybody else, but Judy
Amazing,
Tilton.
amazing job.
Don't.
Well, anyway, somebody stopped me, and they live on Lancaster Hill Road at night, and I apologize because I really don't know their name. They said, does the town own Buffalo Park? And I said, yes, we do. And they walked through Buffalo Park. Well, this is a really odd situation and not a coincidence. And they said, do they ever do any thinning of the wood in there? Because it really, in their opinion, needed to be thinned out in order for it to be grown properly and they could have their trails and stuff. And I said, well, that's something with conservation or parks, and I can pass this along, no problem. And then the next morning, I took Kim to breakfast, and lo and behold, there was a couple sitting right across from me that said, by the way, I was in Buffalo Park the other day, total different when they lived up here on School Street. We've seen them here a couple of times. Do they ever thin out Buffalo Park? So that's 2 in 2 days. And I said, well, this really needs to be passed along. So I don't know if we can pass that along to conservation.
If the park commissioners are doing the maintenance on behalf of the Conservation Commission, but I can tell you that the chairman of the Parks Commissioner, Bob Hardy, is working very closely with the Ag Center to have them engaged in doing that type of work.
Okay, great.
One thing to
Well,
make
hopefully
sure,
you're listening.
one thing to make sure that people understand that it's not, although it's called Buffalo Park, it's a conservation area, so it's.
Well, I knew that. I
and
did
a lot
get
of people
that
don't.
right.
A lot of people, other people don't realize that.
I did
It's a little bit different.
I did get that part right. And the last thing on my list is August 10th at the Senior Center. To benefit the Senior Center is a yard sale August 10th. And if you would like a table, get in touch with Emily LaPlante at the Senior Center. 527-8291. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it. Don't forget fireworks. Oh, one last thing. Please, last thing, just bear with me here. 3 days last week, in my neighborhood, fireworks. It happens every single weekend. It's fireworks in my neighborhood.
Do you have that ordinance on your list of things to do? It's right in my file, yeah.
I live on Silver, it's everybody. You know this.
But this is a neighborhood that's my house is over 150 years old, and
There we go, please.
they're so close to everything. All the houses are so close to each other. That's my daughter.
You don't see fireworks at my house.
It was now me, okay. Saturday, June 29th, it's Old Home Day. And we're having a parade downtown, which I'm pretty darn sure begins at 9 a.m.
10.
I'm pretty sure it begins at 10 a.m.
So the line's at 9.
10 a.m. The lineup begins at 9 o'clock behind the elementary school across the river in Northfield. There's going to be festivities in the Pines after that, and certainly hopeful everybody will come on down, have a burger. I noticed we have a message board up here by Cumbies. According to the message board, Main Street is closed. Seek an alternate route. Somebody didn't change the message board.
The date.
Yes,
You look at
it
the
is
date.
for Old Home Day.
It's set up for Old Home Day.
Yeah, it's for the
Oh,
parade.
is it? Is it? I missed that. I missed the date
Read
part.
the message.
You have to drive slow.
I'm driving, I can only
They
read
didn't have the
certain
speed trailer near there, Joe. You should have been going the limit.
It's true, at least. And then on July 10th, there's a big Make-A-Wish event at the Tilton Diner, in the parking lot of the Tilton Diner, and we'll be doing burgers and dogs and fresh squeezed lemonade and stuff for the benefit of Make-A-Wish. The chief has put together 3 or 4 of the large car clubs, so it should be quite a time. Fred Caruso is going to come down and, be schmarmy, or whatever that word is. He's a heck of a guy, that Fred. And everything else has already been crossed off my list. Oh, there is one last thing. Recently I was elected, not elected, appointed? Named.
Nominated.
I was named. as-
Nominated.
Well, no, it's beyond that now. I have the plaque.
Declared.
I was declared
Selected.
citizen of the year. I couldn't do, no, that's not what that was about. Please, I'm embarrassed enough. What I did want to say is thank you to my wife, because quite frankly, without Kyoko, there is no me. And to everybody else who helps make my world spin. The people over here, and all the people that chip in and do this stuff. I'm the hey, how you doing guy, but it takes dozens of other people to make this work. And I want to, without naming them all, you know who you are, and thank you ever so much. That's all for me. Oh, I got one last thing. I'm sorry.
This is the night of one more thing.
I got one more thing. I got a thing to sign for an individual going on the planning board. I have no idea who this is. Does anybody know who this is?
Yes, he was here when you wanted to be a selectman. He wanted to be a selectman.
He was on the panel? Which one?
I read his credentials.
Yeah, he.
Odell. He wanted to be a selectman.
Is that the guy that is working at AutoSurf?
He's on the fire commission.
He's on the fire station committee. He says, he's the Parks and Recreation Commissioner in Littleton. I have to assume that was in the past.
Yes.
Okay. That seems sketchy. Well, more power to him. I'm glad he came back, and I'll sign.
So,
That's it for me, for sure.
do you have, just a quick question, one more.
Just
So,
one more thing.
last week I attended the Municipal Managers Association of New Hampshire conference. It was very good. There's some things I won't go into tonight because it's so late, but I'll talk to you about later. But I did want to bring to your attention one thing that is offered, I learned through Primex. Wanted to find out if it's anything you're interested in. is Primex offers to member towns to send one or two of their folks to work with the select board to set goals and priorities, kind of a workshop. Didn't know if that was anything you'd be interested in doing. I think that's really nice to think about it, but I thought it was interesting.
It's always nice to get somebody else's.
Doing a new thing.
I'm all for it, but usually they do their stuff during the day only, so that would automatically eliminate.
I'll find out.
And, you know,
I talked to one of the managers who they had done it at their time and they were very pleased with the results, so.
yeah, do they have webinars and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So also anything that we can do as webinars, I'd be interested in doing myself.
Being able to gather them. Looks like she's going to show us this.
No, I just have one thing really. I'd like to come up with more. So I tagged, this, whatever it is, Donnie and Tucker and Snow. Everybody see this?
Yes.
Everybody see what it is? It was the charge that we were charged for, conversations with, committee members to the attorney that was going to do the free planning board training. And it's not a lot of money, but I just think, if you look underneath it, there was no charge there. I think they should have given us the $37. I think being a municipal attorney, you should have known that, you know, we just don't have, all our committee members, they just don't have free access to the town's attorneys. You should have known.
Billable hours.
Right, so you should have immediately said when he was contacted, you know, have a conversation with the town administrator and make sure that I, you know, you have permission to talk to me or something. You know, it's only $37, but.
Well, two things I'm happy to call and have that conversation and express that, you know, concern and say, listen, we're gonna happen again, and we're really not happy about it.
It's a good get out of hand.
I think it's worth a try.
I think
Well,
we solved that
We
issue.
solved that issue, I think.
Ultimately,
Well,
it could be.
For one, we have a lot of committee members.
That's true.
You're right. Did everyone sign that ACH that Tim was looking for? I think it was for the payment for the property. That's it.
Yes.
Did we?
Yeah, it's one of the 4 packs.
Yeah, then we're down to the bottom, like,
And I will give them
340,000.
Now?
Check with Catherine.
you control the reins on the meeting right now.
You ready? Come on. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
We did really well for this. Hey, this is not necessarily that late.
Well, considering we got 45 minutes over because we had an unexpected